Hello everyone. Uh, this is the next episode of the series where we are configuring SQL Server on Windows 19 64-bit edition. In the last video, we installed SQL Server and we reached to the point where the installation was progressing. Now you can see it has completed, and now SQL Server has been installed on our server machine with all the features, and you can see all the features they have success status against each service and component. So we are pretty good. However, we can even see the details of all the logs, and if we got any issue or error, we can go and we can dig deeper to identify where that error is and how we can resolve by looking at the error message. But in this case, we are pretty fortunate that the SQL Server has been installed. So let's close the installation. And what I'm going to do now, by the way, that there was the diagram that we have discussed previously while we are talking the disk structure of our SQL Server. Now, going back, and you can see there are a bunch of new items are showing in our start menu. And what I'm interested actually to go and yes, it didn't install SQL 2019 Management Studio. So now what happened up to this point, SQL Server installed all the services which are required to run the SQL Server on this server operating system. But I'm going to show you those services. So if we just run services.msc, and if we go like in here, so you can see our database engine services running, our agent service is running. And once we go deeper into the SQL, I'll explain each service, what's the responsibility of each service. Integration services running, SQL Server CEIP, we are not going to use that, and SQL Server VSS Writer, we are not using that as well. But obviously the ones which we are interested, we're going to explain in the upcoming video. So that will show us that our SQL Server engine has been installed successfully. There are a bunch of things that we still need to do, but we'll look at them later. Now, the next step which I'm going to do to install the client application, because obviously every enterprise product has two components. One is the server side, the other one is the client side. We connect to the server software through the client application, which is a client server architecture. So same is applicable on SQL Server as well. Like once you install on the server, your SQL Server database engine, you need some sort of client. It can be SQL Server Management Studio. It can be Azure Data Studio. It can be one Visual Studio. And we're going to see all these in sequence once we reach to those points during our journey to get the expertise on SQL Server. But what I'm going to do as a first step, I'm going to install the SQL Server Management Studio. And like you can see, I have already downloaded the installer. You can go to the website, or if you don't want to, we can even click on install SQL Server Management tool. And if you remember, I told you that's a separate download now. And as you have seen, as soon as I click on the link, it opens. And I'm just going to open it within the. So I am opening it up in the Chrome, because I prefer Chrome over Internet Explorer for somehow. And you can obviously see Internet Explorer is retiring on June 15, 2022, and Microsoft is pushing for Edge. So what we're gonna do as part of this exercise, let's download let's download Microsoft Edge. for server operating system. So that's pretty fast now. I have the Edge operating system, sorry, Edge browser sitting on my machine, and I'll get back to it later. So let me close these tabs. So I'm good. If I want, I can download the latest version of SQL Server Management Studio from Microsoft website, but considering I've already downloaded it on my machine, so I'm not going to re-download. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to install it. So let me run the offline installer. Yeah, I'm going to install it on its default place. Don't want to change. Hit install, and then the SQL Server Management Studio and the Azure Data Studio both are installing on my virtual machine. That's something new with the I think version 18 release, that Microsoft has merged these two software together. Obviously, Azure Data Studio is uh, more close to Visual Studio Code, which is more like a dev environment, and it doesn't provide a lot of feature that normally database developer or data warehouse developers or even data engineers they need from the database perspective or data warehouse perspective. But Data Studio will provide sort of capabilities if you want to do development using lightweight client editor, let me put this way. And obviously in one video we'll compare both products, and I'll put it side by side to show you what are the differences and where my SQL Server Management Studio is going above than the Azure Data Studio. Obviously Azure Data Studio also provide you the capabilities of connecting to Azure, but don't get me wrong, you can use SQL Server Management Studio to connect to Azure as well. And this is all coming in the future videos. But right now, let me finish that video in here. Once this installation will done, and then we'll start exploring the SQL Server database engine from that point. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.